All right, breaking news. It just happened again. A man who voted for Donald Trump as an outspoken and vocal Trump supporter was just detained by ICE after living in the United States for almost 2 decades. His name is Casper Eriksen. He's got a wife, 4 kids, 0 criminal record, and was just detained by ICE after posting relentlessly about how much he loves Donald Trump. Apparently, that didn't save him from his own vote because he voted for militarization of our police force, militarization of ICE, sweeping crackdowns on immigrants with very little vetting and due process or notice, and just mass deportation. So when you champion a movement like that and you face the consequences of your own action, of course I still feel bad. I don't take glee in reporting these stories, but my question is, do you guys feel bad? While I was researching for this, I remembered this story that I reported on a few months back. This is a separate story from the main one that we're about to cover, but it reads, "This Wisconsin man voted for Trump. Now his wife sits in an ICE detention center." Again, I don't take glee, but my question to you all in the comment section, yes or no, is how bad do you feel? Like, do you feel bad for them? Bradley Bartell and Camila Munoz had a familiar small-town love story before they collided with immigration politics. They met through mutual friends, had a first date at a local steakhouse. Munoz cares for Bartell's 12-year-old son as her own, even though he's not. But last month, on their way home to Wisconsin, after honeymooning in Puerto Rico, an immigration agent pulled Munoz aside at the airport. Quote, "Are you an American citizen?" asked the agent. She answered no, she wasn't. She was from Peru. But she and her husband had taken the legal steps so that one day she might get U.S. citizenship. And that's the terrible part. I mean, there are a lot of terrible parts, but Trump isn't trying to streamline the process. He's actively making it harder to get your citizenship, to get a green card, to even seek asylum or seek refugee status for Haitians, for Venezuelans, but not for white South Africans. We should talk about that more because that is pure racism. I made a video about that earlier, but this is racism in its rawest form, only allowing white people to come in the country. That's a separate story. But going back to this, millions of Americans, including Bartell, the dude, had voted for Trump's promise to crack down on criminal illegal immigrants. But 8 weeks in, the mass deportation effort had rapidly expanded to include immigrants whose application for legal status is under review. In addition to Munoz, there was a woman in her 50s who had lived in the country for 30 years and is married to a U.S. citizen. A woman in her 30s with proof of valid permanent legal residency whose father and siblings are U.S. citizens who came to the U.S. as a teen. By the way, none of these people have criminal records. A European woman in her 30s engaged to a U.S. citizen who overstayed her visa. And this was before Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia and all of these other insane stories. One more time. Trump and Republicans say that they're okay with legal immigration, but then they make legal immigration harder. They actually strip visas away from students who want to be doctors. Don't you want to drain the smartest people from other countries and have them working and developing and researching in the United States? Either way, I digress. To continue, this is Casper William Eriksen. I want to show you the story of Casper William Eriksen. First, if you made it this far in the video, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. A lot of people are saying they've been watching for a while, but they haven't been subscribed, so scroll down, click the button. And this dude, his Facebook profile picture once said, "Masks optional, vaccines optional, freedom is cool." You know, I like freedom too, but I think masks and vaccines give you freedom. This social contract that keeps everyone healthy and productive keeps society great, not allowing, viruses to run rampant. And then Casper said, "I don't care if you've had your vaccine." Interesting Danish dude. We continue. I'll read this in 1 second, but then he reposted Donald Trump saying, "Let's go, Brandon." He reposted this, how to summarize a failed presidency, and it's Biden. He then reposted, "Nothing about this administration is real," and it was Kamala Harris getting a booster. Imagine thinking Biden won legitimately. This is a Trump supporter in its rawest form. Impeach Biden, impeach Harris, expel Pelosi, save America. And this all culminated into a post on April 27th. After all of this man's political activism, this culminated in a post from his wife saying, "If you would like and be willing to write a letter in support of Casper and his character and his role in our community and our family, that would be helpful. Please email them to me by this afternoon. If you'd like to and feel led to, message me or my email. Thank you all for the help, love, and support." Here's an update on our daddy, husband, son, uncle, son-in-law, friend. The attorneys are working to get Casper home to us, but as of today, he has still not been processed by the DOJ. Therefore, he still has no case number. This means the lawyers can't even petition for his release because even though he's physically detained at the ICE facility, he's not there on paper or in the computer system. Oh my lord. I can almost guarantee Casper was one of the people. I mean, I don't want to ascribe positions to a man that's currently detained, but I would bet money that when it came to Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, he would say, so what? Due process shouldn't apply to everybody. But when due process doesn't apply to everybody, it doesn't apply to everybody. You know what I mean? So Casper was then locked up. Therefore, he still has no case number. This means lawyers can't even get a petition for his release. The habeas petitions that the Trump admin has been depriving of people have been laughed at by Trump supporters. Not anymore. Please pray that this process speeds up for Casper and our family. In addition, if you know someone directly or personally who can help us, please reach out. We appreciate our government policies to keep Americans safe. We only ask that the process be more efficient and that Casper's case be reviewed quickly so that you can have the leader of our family back. And I mean, this is Casper, really good leader of the family. If I had to write a letter of recommendation or whatever the hell for this dude, it would be the Democratic Party is the party of Satan, he tweeted out. It would not be nice, I will tell you. It would not be nice. He then tweeted out Trump just saying overturn. You know, we have even more stories like this. What about this one? ICE detains Trump voter by mistake in shocking law and order backfire. Federal immigration authorities briefly detained a U.S. citizen outside the Cambridge District Court on Friday morning in what officials are calling a case of mistaken identity. Hugo Montero, a 31-year-old man from Revere, Massachusetts, was taken outside the courtroom. According to Montero, agents handcuffed him and placed him in their vehicle before he was able to provide documentation proving his identity and citizenship. You know, I over and over have been using this point in debates. I say the same words every time. I say when you create a new class of people with no due process, you can pluck anybody and then just place them into that new class endlessly, and you never have to justify it because they don't have the ability to defend themselves. It's due process 101. So when you're depriving these Trump supporters of a habeas petition, you know, it may sound funny when it's Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia or when the guy's name sounds like it's from a foreign country, but then Trump supporters go through it themselves. I don't take glee in reporting stories like this. I've said that multiple times. This isn't like a gotcha story, but it's a warning. It's a warning about what happens when you vote for cruelty, what happens when you vote for the weaponization of police departments to target certain people. They're not just going to target certain people because the Trump admin has been framing due process as sort of like a nuisance rather than a right over the past few months. And then when Trump supporters get detained, they can't exercise that nuisance, which is actually a right. So I think I've gone through a few stories that prove the point. I'll leave it at that. If you appreciate what I'm doing, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. And really quickly, this is important. We've all been experiencing this unseen, hidden phenomena lately named flooding the zone. I mean, one of Trump's advisors admitted that if you have so many chaotic stories coming out at once, nobody really knows what to focus on. I mean, for example, Trump has been openly questioning the constitutional right to due process. And as that happens, he's creating economic chaos. He's taking bribes from other countries. And some of these stories barely even get picked up. I mean, a lot of news media stations that call themselves neutral or factual actually lean right and don't touch these stories. And if you're only seeing one side of the story, it's really easy for your rights to quietly disappear. That's why I've been using Ground News on a daily basis. It is genuinely the only platform that gives you every single angle. It tells you how biased the outlet is, who owns the outlet, what they're ignoring, and the blind spot feed, for example, is enough alone to see what the right's trying to bury on any given day and what we aren't noticing. There are stories that you'll find in their blind spot feed that show you your blind spot and what you need to be paying attention to at this time. It's a way to subvert the flooding of the zone. Even when I'm reading an article somewhere else, their browser extension, Ground News browser extension, can flag that outlet's bias and pull in the other perspectives on the spot, which is pretty brilliant. So if you want a deal, I got you. Click the link in the description or go to ground.news/am. Again, ground.news/AM, and you get 40% off the Vantage plan, which is the one I use on a day-to-day basis. You get all of the features from the premium plan for 40% off because I got you. So click the first link in the description. Thank you to Ground News for making these videos possible, for supporting the digital ecosystem. Thank you to you guys. Drop some blue hearts, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.